In this video I'm going to show you which 5 maps I think from Gears of War 2 should be added to Gears 5. Let's see which ones I chose. Okay, this first map we're looking at is Avalanche. So Avalanche to me is a great Gears of War 2 map. I think the main reason is because during the match an avalanche can happen and can completely change this middle bit. So this middle space you see now with that sort of building in the middle gets covered completely in snow, and I quite like all my maps I like from any Gears games tend to be one that have like an active or thing that changes during the match. It's got a good middle spot there. There's plenty of like little houses to hide in here. We've even got that truck we can hide, especially playing Annex or King of the Hill. Sometimes it's like in there and you're like standing on the back of the truck. Yeah, it's got some good side buildings. It's got that bit that's gone down in the middle. There are some spots for like longer range, but I feel like there's not too much a case of the sniper. So this is like the avalanche happening. So you could either get hit by the snow and it changes the middle of the map. You'll see a little bit now. I'm going to run around and show you what it looks like now, the snow covering it. And there's also a special weapon at the top. But yeah, I feel like there's enough small little places to hide, but there are some room for some longer range attacks. So it's just a well balanced map, and I quite like the idea of this avalanche. It's definitely one of the smaller maps that I like. Quite a few other maps I like are quite big. You can tell some high spaces this side and the other side. So it's visually different both sides, but has a similar kind of layout. We've got some more buildings on this side. Yeah, so overall I think this is a map they should add to Gears 5. And when I think about Gears of War 2, it's definitely Avalanche is definitely a map that comes straight to my mind when I was researching all the maps I'd like to see. Okay, now we're just going to quickly look around to show you again this middle bit with the main building in the middle. So there's some barriers down here as well, and here's some overshots as well. Next up is Hail. It's another great map for things happening in the environment. This time it rains like this hail of like glass rain that can kill you. So you'll see it just randomly happens, but there's plenty of like places to get cover as well. You usually get a bit of a warning raining. Now the thing I find the problem with this map is a little bit like the colours dull, but I think if they added to Gears 5 you could just change up the visual look a little bit, but the overall layout is really good. You've got some good spots up here to hide, and if you're caught out in the rain down the bottom, as you'll see in some of this footage, there are some abandoned like trams, trains, so this is lethal, so I'll run in a little bit to show you. But yeah, it'll start to hurt and last for a while. What I like with these things that like happen for a little bit and then stop again in a match is like people can't like camp out in a certain place, so it's always like changing the flow. I find sometimes some levels, if they don't have something that happens, like an event, like a storm or some weather change or something else, people can tend to like camp in the same place. So I like something that adds a flow. It's also probably the reason why Annex and King of the Hill are like my favourite modes, because they make you move around the map a bit more. This is a lot bigger than say Avalanche, for example, because you've got all up here, you've got this whole bridge section here, there's another building. Is it a little bit too big? Would I cut some of the other things out? I'm not sure. It has a good flow, and I think for some type match types it's suitable. So we'll just show a little bit more here, and I'll show you with the train trams you can hide in. I think a liquor coat for Gears 5 with this map would be great. Here we go. So if we run down here, you see on the bottom level there are a lot of trains to hide in. Also has a good like low and high, good height, verticality. Because you could be like hiding down here, but some people could be up hiding behind those barriers. Right, next up we have River. Now this is another map I think about when I think of Gears 2. I don't know, I just love this map so much. It's just, to me, it feels like a classic. Now this doesn't actually have anything that happens in it, which I know from like the other maps I've put on this list do, but I feel like this middle bit where you have like, do I risk it and run down the river and try and flank them around the back, or do I head to this bridge? Like the bridge is a good place for a face-off, but these two buildings on each side really do add to this bridge face-off. So if you go up here, you get like a good sight of the whole bridge, but also makes it risky to be sniped. And there's also another bridge right across diagonally from you, so someone else could be standing there. It's just a good map for like, it's kind of like, it's equal both sides, it's symmetric, but there's also this middle bit gets like good intense moments. And like I said, the sniping spot in the houses, it just has a good fit, and that also that gamble of like someone on your team could run through the middle, run underneath the bridge, and like circle round and get them. So you kind of like have to be aware of like where your enemies are. Okay, so we'll just show you some of the aerial shots now so you can get a better look. So I think this, I kind of like the snow aesthetic on a lot of these maps as well that were in Gears 2. But I'd happily see like this one with different seasons or something. I think it would look good. Right, next up is Flood. This has a much different look to some of the other maps. I just love this whole like, this is one of the ruined cities, there's emulsion about, it has a nice like glow from the emulsion, but also that emulsion rises up and floods quite a lot of the map. And now depending where you are, you'll have to like try and run to quickly escape here. There's some indoor sections, outdoor sections, but it'll slowly make the map some smaller and smaller, so you get to like this really high bit on this broken road, as you'll see in a minute. And I think that just adds something that isn't in the other ones. Like the other ones I mentioned, like, yeah, some sections of the map get cut off for a little bit of time, like with the hail rain or the avalanche changed it. But this one actually makes the map smaller and smaller. So I think for some modes it plays really well, where like you start in a big map and then slowly it's like everyone's crammed in a smaller space. Gives you that feel like Battle Royale games do now, but this was before all the Battle Royale kicked off. So I feel like this is a good style map. And I just like the look of it. All these ruins. And just like everyone's like trying to work their way up here, because if you get caught off down there somewhere, you get run. Like here, when we in a match I played earlier, I got some of the bad guys like stuck down there, and as the emulsion was like coming up, but they were too worried to like run out because we were all there shooting. So a few of them actually got caught out in the emulsion and ended up like burning. So here, I'm going to show you one of these indoor sections. So you kind of like run through it, but imagine like later on in the match, like the emulsion rises up and you've got to like try and get out of this indoor section. But overall, I think even without the emulsion coming up, there's a nice, good shape to it. There's a high point, a low bit, there's a nice left and right centre, but it's quite blocked off with walls as well, so less sniping across the whole pitch. Anything that breaks the line of sight up is always good with me. Right, and here we go, we'll just look around. This is the top bit I meant, where we can try and survive and wait for all that emulsion to level up. That emulsion comes up pretty much up to this road. I've at least seen it come to here where that car is. And right, the last map is Nowhere. Now, I had a hard time deciding on which other map. I went for this one, both for the storm that happens and the aesthetic look, because at the time Gears of War 2 I was like, whoa, this more deserty town one looks a lot different. There's lots of like high places in here, like you could top of buildings, but also places to hide inside buildings. And yeah, so I thought these were 5 maps. Now there's loads of maps, like I was even torn, like a few of them on here I was like, oh, I wish I had that, and then maybe I'll put them in another video because there's so many good maps, but these were like the 5 I was like, if I was playing Gears 5 now, which of these maps would I like to see be added to it? And these would definitely be the ones I'd go for. So here, like, you've got a good spot for high advantage here. Also, some of these maps make for great Horde levels, because I remember playing this one on Horde quite a bit. And this one I really enjoyed. You could like put your main base up somewhere high and reinforce it. So yeah, there's loads of great little buildings here. Just it has an overall look. You better see some of the storm come in. Like in Gears 5, maybe we could make the storm a bit more dramatic. Like looking back on it now, it's not as quite dramatic, but it does break up that line of sight and the visual as well. Okay, so this bit, I'm just going to quickly show you some of the other buildings you can hide into. Usually I go for the highest bit, but I thought here we'll have a look around 1 or 2 other buildings as well, so you get an idea of what the inside of the buildings look like. But yeah, I think they should definitely add these maps to Gears 5. Yeah. So like inside buildings, like a great place for like a team to hide together. Like you're about to see now, like there was quite a few other players in here. I was like, oh, I better get away from here. And here's a bit more of the outside look. I just think it has an overall great style. So those are just the 5 maps I think from Gears 2 should be in Gears 5. But what do you think? Which maps from Gears 2, including all the DLC maps, you think should be added to Gears 5? Let me know in the comments below. And thank you for watching. Remember to hit like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.